The Kliq owns this business.
Coming down the aisle, Bimbo, Jimbo, Baby Huey.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Give me a hell yeah.
Today, I've got the style and profile like never before. It's showtime! Woo!
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of In The Kliq. I'm Baby Huey, and once again, joining me is my partner in crime, my current tag team partner, my enforcer. I'm trying to think of different names for you, Philip. But yeah, my boy Philip from the Bulletcast. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Baby Huey? I'm doing great, man. You know, I celebrated Canada Day a couple weeks ago. Or no, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an honorary Canadian. Shout out to my boy Chris Van Vliet. So, you know, it was nice. I had some poutine, had some Canadian bacon. Just chopped it up with my fellow Canadians, eh?
Actually, shout out to my brother. He made breakfast this morning and gave me Canadian bacon. So it's my belated celebration of Canada Day.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, shout out to our fellow Canadians who listen to us, friends of the show. And yeah, you and I think we have a good list of people we know that are Canadians, as you said, Chris Van Vliet. But I think you and I, we can both agree our favorite Canadian is Le Champion, Chris Jericho. Am I right?
I mean, yes. You might have to hit up Y2J and ask him if you can be an honorary Canadian.
Oh, I would love to get his outfit that he had this week at Fyter Fest.
Oh, man, that was a great jacket. I might have to pull that out for Halloween if we have a Halloween.
Actually, I was kind of tempted to text Chris Jericho and be like, dude, love you this week on commentary on AEW's Fyter Fest. But I was like, nah, he's probably getting blown up by so many people. I don't want to bother him. Maybe next week when it kind of dies down. Actually, wait, next week he's going to be busy wrestling against Orange Cassidy. So maybe in a couple weeks when like the things kind of die down, and then I can like hit him up, be like, dude, awesome job. But yeah, no, here we are, and it was a busy week in pro wrestling, as we all know. A lot going on. For this particular episode, Philip and I, we're gonna just focus on AEW and this week's show. It was not necessarily Dynamite, but instead it was Fyter Fest. For anyone kind of curious, they kind of wanted to make this more of like a pay-per-view feel. Am I right?
Yeah. I've heard people call it Frieder Fest because it was free.
Fried, I like that. That's very cool. But yeah, so this is something they've been teasing or promoting for at least for the last month. I know, was it this time last year, they did their first annual edition of Fyter Fest on pay-per-view. And this was actually, was it like their second event after Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I think it was free though. I think it was just like watch on BR Live, because I think that and Fight for the Fallen were free.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because Dynamite premiered on TNT last October. And so at the time, before we had the weekly episodes for AEW, the only source of content that we got for their shows, or what their show was like, was their pay-per-view. So Double or Nothing was the first one. Fyter Fest, then Fight for the Fallen, and then All Out. So Fyter Fest is early on one of their early staples of pay-per-views. But yeah, this year they decided to make it a part of their weekly television on TNT. And so for you and I, we were super excited for that. And they said right out of the gates that they want to deliver pay-per-view level matches on TNT for everyone to tune in for. And so, like we always do for our pay-per-view reviews, we're going to start out big, kind of give our general reaction to the whole show, and then we'll break down the card match by match. So, Philip, just right out of the gates, what was your initial reaction to, oh, by the way, it is night one. So that's the other thing they did mention as well. It's going to be over the span of 2 weeks. So this past Wednesday and also next Wednesday. So it's going to be night one, night two of Fyter Fest. And it's very interesting, WWE with a little counter programming. they're doing their version of a pay-per-view over a span of 2 weeks with Great American Bash. But we'll save that for a separate review just because so much action this week. I figure let's just focus on one show at a time per episode. So, Philip, right out of the gates, what was your initial reaction to night one of AEW Fyter Fest?
I thought it was decent. There were times where it did kind of fall flat to me. And, I normally don't say negative things about AEW. I love the company because, you've said that MLW revitalized your love for wrestling. Mm-hmm. And for Jimbo, it was Lucha Underground. That's what AEW did for me. And, it did kind of fall flat. The set, it was nice. They had the girls on the lounge chairs all around the ring. I thought that was cool. Shout out to the homie Will Hobbs from APW. He was in the crowd. But, the scenery, they tried to change it up even though they're still in the same venue, Daly's Place. But, they're trying, and that's what's important. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I will say this, give credit to AEW, because currently it's still in their very first year, I like to say first calendar year, as far as from October when Dynamite premiered to where we're currently at. So we're still under that 1 year of them doing week-to-week television, and as far as we could tell, they save their pay-per-views pretty much like once a quarter, once every 3 months, and I like what it looks like their plan is. Maybe in the meantime, they'll do like a specialty theme episode of Dynamite. Like before the pandemic started, they were going to do an episode called Blood and Guts on Wednesday night. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because when it was supposed to take place, that's when the pandemic started and the whole plans went out the door. So I think in between, like every 3 months where they're supposed to do a pay-per-view on the weekend, in the meantime, they'll do these specialty theme episodes of Dynamite and change the name. It'd be like AEW Dynamite and then whatever the tagline is. So to kind of spice up the week-to-week Wednesday night programming. And so as we were supposed to get earlier this year, like I said, Blood and Guts, it looks like they're kind of do the same thing now with Fyter Fest. And I like that because in between Double or Nothing, which was in May, and it looks like they did announce that they're going to do All Out again this year, which I'm guessing is going to be in the first week of September, I believe, Labor Day weekend. So the halfway point is like right now. And so for them, they're trying to do something different on Wednesday night and reuse the Fyter Fest name. So I thought that was really cool. But as far as the actual execution of this show, they kind of changed up the set a little bit. They've been filming at the same spot as they do for their week-to-week television. As you said, I enjoyed the eye candy as well of the ladies in bikinis sitting around and the models there. Also, I will say this, as far as like the actual matches, you and I were talking off the air a little bit. I thought like the first hour was really exciting. I felt the second hour felt a little flat. And like I said, we'll get into that more as we talk about the matches. So I thought the first hour was great. I loved the intensity. But then the second hour, I don't know if because the first hour was so action-packed that the second hour just kind of like everyone was tired or like just the place kind of got a little more quiet. But overall, I was thoroughly entertained throughout the whole night. And so I still am happy that AEW did this. And I'm looking forward to next week's show already. And I hope that this is something they keep doing moving forward, as far as maybe kind of like the halfway point in between their pay-per-views, they'll do a specialty theme episode of Dynamite. And so I give them props for all that. So let's go down the card like we always do. And so first match of the night was MJF tagging with his lackey, his enforcer, Wardlow, taking on Jurassic Express, which was this time around was the pairing of Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Luchasaurus. So, Philip, what was your kind of initial reaction or thoughts on this match itself?
I think because MJF and jumping at Jack Perry, as Jim Ross would say, I think I kind of did enjoy it more than when Wardlow and Luchasaurus went one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And MJF's promo to start it off was great. You know, he flat out addressed the counter programming and how do you get ratings? You put me on the screen. I love that. I mean, it was solid. It was solid work by all four gentlemen. Luchasaurus, I still don't know. It's like, he knows how to use his body, but it doesn't kind of look like it because of his size and stature.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think all 4 men did good business, and Jurassic Express came out with the dub.
Yeah, as far as like going down the timeline of events for this first match, so yeah, MJF coming out, and first off, what was he wearing? This like.
He's rich. He can wear whatever he wants.
But it was like an ugly, like pink robe, and even Chris Jericho, who's a heel, talking about another heel, you would think they're on the same quote page or same team as far as his heels go. He even said that's an ugly outfit, and he's the one that came out with the full-on Canadian tux or jacket.
It was Canada Day. He had to bring out his pink and white to support Brett. That's what I think was going on.
Okay, but it was like I don't even know how to describe the outfit. The best description was actually from MJF. If you follow him on Twitter, he the next day retweeted a photo of himself. I think it was on the body of Homer Simpson or something, but it looked like an outfit from The Simpsons. I think was it when Homer was overweight. Let me see. Here, I'm actually bring up his Twitter right now. It was God, where is it? Oh yes, it was Homer wearing a muumuu. Here, I'll show you Philip on camera right now. but yeah, it was when Homer Simpson gained a bunch of weight and he was wearing like a big muumuu dress, and so but yeah, it was just kind of a ridiculous outfit. I mean, normally MJF comes out styling, profiling in his own right, but yeah, it was just kind of ridiculous with the outfit he had on. But the promo itself, I think we all can say MJF is one of the best talkers right now in pro wrestling. So for him just to kind of stir the pot as far as acknowledging a ratings war, it's like there he goes breaking the fourth wall and says, yeah, we're in a ratings war every single Wednesday. So if you want to get ratings, you put me on TV first. And then for Jurassic Express, they came out and Marco Stunt did his thing running around the guys. He's the ultimate cheerleader for them in many ways. For the match itself, I would say like just the 2 highlights were definitely Wardlow and Jack Perry. Okay, wait, real quick, before we move any further, I'm confused. Do we call him still Jungle Boy? Jungle Boy Jack Perry? You and
Jumpin' Jack Perry?
Yeah, I mean, they give him so many different names. I don't know what's the proper way of calling him for as far as when he comes out.
I think what they're doing is he can't be a Jungle Boy forever.
Yeah.
Like, the Young Bucks can't be Young Bucks forever. even though Sean's like 52 and he's still a heartbreak kid, I don't know.
Well, I guess yeah, they're trying to kind of expand on his name. So yeah, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and which by the way, very I was gonna say what's the right word? I love how MJF did a little dig at Jungle Boy and said, why don't you count your daddy's money? So for anyone who don't know, Jack Perry, his dad is Luke Perry, R.I.P. to him. But so it was like, wow, that's a good way to get some heat. So I would imagine, not to break kayfabe, I would imagine MJF probably asked Jack Perry for permission to make that dig.
Dude, I don't know. I saw a clip of MJF at an autograph signing, and it's this person in a wheelchair. He's like, look what I can do, and he just stands up. I'm like, yo.
Dude, MJF is the best as far as knows how to keep kayfabe alive, getting heat with the fans. And my brother loves him and thinks he's like the modern day Gino Hernandez. And if you haven't watched Dark Side of the Ring about Gino Hernandez, please watch that. Great episode about him. But yeah, for the match itself, Wardlow blew me away. It's just as far as his athleticism, him as a big man, being able to move around, just the big spots he was doing off the top ropes. And then even Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, just as far as just the athleticism he was able to display in this match. So just overall, they were the 2 standouts. And I know Wardlow right now is working with MJF, but I see big money from him down the road as far as being another big threat for hopefully maybe the AEW title down the road.
Yeah, I do think Wardlow will win the AEW championship, and go watch his stuff from the indies. All of his matches are basically tope con hilos, tope suicidas, planchas, all that stuff. Like, for a man his size to be able to do that, that's very, very impressive. But I mean, it's like I said. I think all 4 men did do good business. I guess I'm just not into wrestling dinosaurs. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It's Luchasaurus. I don't know too much about him. I know he did some work on Lucha Underground, but I'm still trying to figure out, I guess, his style or what he can bring to a match. I love his kicks. Like at the end, the kicks that he was delivering to Wardlow, I love that. It was like these big, powerful roundhouse kicks to the face. But yeah, at times he feels like, I mean, I do love also the high spots. Like he was doing some jumping out of the ring. But yeah, I'm kind of curious, what's his ceiling as far as what can he bring to the table long term? Is he more of just like a gimmick wrestler? Or could he actually be like a legit, a top guy for the company? That's yet to be seen. But I mean, for right now, he's a lot of fun. Even MJF, also in his promo said he's still very green. So I was like, oh, damn. MJF throwing bombs in that promo.
His wrestling ability and his tongue, yes. Very green.
Yeah. But no, like I said, the match overall, I thought it was a great way to kind of just kick things off for Fyter Fest. A lot of energy from both teams. And like when I see Wardlow, it's like I want to see more of him. I feel like we haven't seen too much of him just wrestling. He's always just coming out as like the enforcer for MJF, and I want to see more of him in the match. So hopefully, maybe throughout the rest of the year, we can see more of him wrestling. But I'm sure Vince McMahon is probably like, how the hell he missed signing this guy? I mean, am I right? Like the fact he's so big and do all this jumping stuff. I mean, it's amazing. He could be like Brock Lesnar-esque.
Yeah, Vince is probably talking to Hunter. You watch all this indie stuff. Why the hell didn't you sign him? Stuff like that, dude. I don't know, man. I mean, Wardlow. I think he will be the AEW champion. He's a special being, man. And let him get in there with a guy that's not his size, but like a Moxley size guy, and give him 15 or 20 minutes on a Dynamite. Let him tear it up in the main event. I think that would be good business.
Totally. And the other thing too, with this match, and so I know MJF, his big thing was he's undefeated. He hasn't lost. And so even though the team, him and Wardlow lost, Wardlow actually ate the pin. So as far as, moving forward, as far as promo goes, MJF can still acknowledge, I have yet to be pinned in AEW. Wardlow took the pin. So I'm kind of curious, though, long term, how much longer will they be a pair? Or will they eventually butting heads of some sort and one will turn on the other? So that's going to be kind of interesting what's going to happen next as far as that teaming goes. Jurassic Express, for you, after this win, do you think they should get a tag title shot down the road pretty soon?
Everybody else has.
I know, right? They're handing them out.
It's only a matter of time. They'll have a match on the regular episode of Dynamite or something.
Yeah. So, but no, overall, I thought it was just a great way to kick off the show and just kind of get everyone's energy up. The crowd was super into it. And kudos to everyone involved. All right, next match of the night was the women's championship. Hikaru Shida taking on Penelope Ford. And this match, I didn't know too much of what to expect because Hikaru, I'm a big fan of hers. I'm so happy that she's the women's champion. And just from what I've been able to see in the last few months of her wrestling, I love everything she brings to the table. But with Penelope Ford, I haven't seen her wrestle too much. And so I very much think she's still very green. But when I do see her do stuff in the ring, I'm still very impressed as also with her athleticism. So I'm kind of curious what kind of match they can deliver. So what was your kind of initial thoughts about this match taking place?
Well, shout out to my girl, Holy Sheeta. Go grab that shirt. But she was in there with the super bad Penelope Ford. And dude, I mean, when she hit the knee right off the bat, I thought she was going to put her up for the Falcons there. I thought it was going to be a squash.
Yeah.
I really did, but they worked pretty decent. I think this was the best showing from Penelope Ford we've seen since her in-ring debut in All Elite Wrestling. Okay. I mean, let me tell you, the whole kendo stick spot with super bad Kip Sabian, it was really corny. Like, you get punched and you just throw it straight up in the air? Come on, dude. She could have punched him, yanked it from him, and then hit him. Yeah, but, I mean, Penelope Ford is still kind of green. Yes, absolutely. But she has a gymnast background. You can see with her athleticism. So I think she will do good business. And her rolling out of the Falcon's Arrow and then kicking out of them, like, okay, that's a sign of they're going to be doing something with her later on down the line.
Yeah.
I do think Penelope Ford will be the women's champion sometime in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree. And this is something I've kind of saw some people online talking about. They definitely see vibes of like Trish Stratus. As far as making the comparison, obviously someone who's gorgeous, but initially was brought in as a manager. And that's what Penelope Ford was initially. We know her work with her managing her ex-boyfriend, Joey Janela. And then even now with Kip Sabian, her fiance. Initially, her body of work has been as a manager when it comes to pro wrestling. So to see her get more and more ring experience, and I've enjoyed all of her matches so far, as far as her doing, backflip, bumping into the person in the corner, and just even like bouncing off the ropes for a stunner. Like Penelope Ford, she has so much upside to her. Like, God, imagine if she was able to get more repetitions in the ring. Where she could be 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. I mean, she could definitely be the future of that AEW women's division. And I know right now they're kind of very much in this transitional period. They're still trying to establish a lot of the women talent they have on their roster. I'm super excited for what they have. I know people do criticize that maybe it's not as good compared to like maybe Impact or WWE. I mean, but they're still a fairly new division, and so they got a lot of upcoming female competitors, and I'm excited for all of them. I'm sure they're going to keep putting the work in, getting better, and I'm looking forward to all of them improving. But Penelope Ford especially, I've really enjoyed her matches so far, and then the two of them, I think they went balls to the wall as far as they were the only female matches of the night, so I'm sure they just really want to represent that division and just prove that there is a lot of competition there and that they are going to get better over time. So overall, I love that match.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to think, like, who's next for Hikaru Shida? Like, I think she's just going to keep knocking down challengers until the role model Britt Baker is ready to go.
Yeah, I think the timetable for Britt Baker, I believe they said it's a couple months, so I believe she should be ready by All Out. So maybe that's what they're building towards is Shida versus Britt Baker at All Out for the women's title. But yeah, no, Shida, I love her current reign thus far as women's champion. Just all her matches are awesome. But like I said, Penelope Ford, even though she got the loss here, I think she's still impressing a lot of people. And I just think for her, she just needs more time in the ring. But like I said, in the near future, she's really going to start turning more and more heads, just not by her looks, but just her actual in-ring work. I love all of it so far. So I'm just looking forward for both of them. I really think the two of them, this could maybe potentially set up a great rivalry as well down the road. I think the two of them, maybe they can go at it every once in a while. I think they can, if they both stay in AEW long-term, they really can be like the foundation of really help turn things around for that women's division. I'm looking forward to that. Next up after that was, I honestly thought this match probably should have been maybe in the second hour, but it was kind of at the halfway point of the show. It was Cody taking on Jake Hager for the TNT Championship. And Jake Hager coming out with his wife, which I was a little intrigued by because I was wondering, is she going to be his manager moving forward? Can we I think that was like her first time coming out as a manager, if I'm correct.
No, she did. Hager did some matches for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood when he was going after Nick Aldis in the 10 Pounds of Gold.
Okay.
She did a little manager work for him before, cool. So I guess this is she's going to start to be more incorporated as a character because you saw her, when he wrestled Dustin at Revolution in February.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she's going to be worked in more. So it's Hager versus Cody. He's defending the TNT title. As Cody's told us, it's the championship of America's Greatest Network. Big FU by Cody and AEW with the American Nightmare shirt he was wearing, the same logo as the Great American Bash. And the Cody and WWE have a little bit more beef. They refiled the trademark for Cody Rhodes, so he can't have that for a little bit.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for Cody. He's been doing some press promoting Fyter Fest, and obviously the big question was, asking him about his thoughts on WWE with their counter programming as far as giving NXT the Great American Bash usage for this week and next week's episodes of NXT. And to Cody's credit, being a true professional, he just said, listen, they can use it however they want. I'm just glad that it just keeps my dad's name out there, a positive representation. It, like I said, just keeps his father's legacy on people's minds as far as bringing it up in conversation that, hey, my dad, Dusty Rhodes, created Great American Bash. So if anything, that's what he's happy about. So, I mean, props to Cody for saying all that stuff. But the shirt itself, yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool.
Are they selling those bad boys?
Not yet. I mean, you and I last night were both checking out ProWrestlingTees.com. I didn't see it there. I haven't checked today at the time before this recording. I would think by now maybe they have like an email. I've got like an email notification or anything, but I would love to own that shirt. As far as it says the American Nightmare in the old Great American Bash font. But I don't know, maybe either a trademark situation since that's the likeness of the old Great American Bash and WWE owns that. I don't know. But hopefully maybe they could do a limited run at Pro Wrestling Tees. If they did, I would totally buy one.
I don't know, man, because Court Bauer, he owns MLW, and I think he has like an LLC to War Games, but then WWE uses it. It's weird. It's weird with copyrights and trademarks, something like that. So he might be able to get away with it.
I would hope so.
But he can't use his legal last name, which makes no sense.
Yeah, well, it's what, and then like WWE, like this week it was reported that they refiled, the trademark Cody Rhodes, and
I'm like, it's legally his last name. What are you guys doing?
I don't know. I mean, definitely that's the importance of Brandy Rhodes, having her like come out with him because they can say Cody and Brandy Rhodes, so kind of put the two together. Also, quick little shout out or condolences sent out to Brandy Rhodes. I believe her dog passed away this week. So unfortunately, she did not make the first episode or this week's episode of AEW's Fyter Fest. So, losing a pet, I'm sure, is a very tough situation. So,
she's had that dog since she was like 16 years old or something.
Wow,
she's in her mid 30s. So that's a long time.
Damn. Wow. I mean, I'm sure it's a very tough situation. And just quick thoughts and condolences out to Brandy Rhodes. I know it's a tough time right now, and then I'm trying to think what else about the match as far as the entrances. Yeah, Cody came out. I love just the big fight atmosphere, with the entrances and whatnot. And but for the match itself, I enjoyed like kind of initially the hard hitting aspects of it. I don't know about you. What was your kind of reactions for the match itself?
Well, before I get into the match, Chris Jericho saying Arn Anderson came out with his Waffle House menu. I was like, they do look like that if you've ever been to a Waffle House, dude. That was great. But I think Cody, he took more high risk. He was doing more flying around because usually he's working with a smaller guy or somebody who's a little bit more agile than he is, and he's kind of playing the power game and striking game in a sense. So he had to be the high flyer, with the Cody cutter from the top rope instead of the second and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This match didn't hit a certain coup de grace. Shout out Finn Balor for me. It was okay. It was, and I usually do highly praise Cody's matches because there's so much emotion and storytelling involved with them. Right here, there really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, they try to build it up as probably as best they could as far as, kind of a little bit of the run-ins back and forth and, with the press conference and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't feel like this match ever got to like that second gear as far as maybe storytelling goes, especially the ending. The conclusion of the match was very much overbooked as far as, Jake Hager's wife getting involved, slapping Cody. Also, Arn was kind of getting in the mix as well. Jake was kind of being distracted by him. And then even at the very end, Dustin comes running out and tries to throw a punch at Jake and help Cody out. So it was very much an overbooked ending. And we know Cody, a lot of his matches sometimes have that overbooked stuff to it. I was kind of hoping maybe more for a clean finish of some sort. The ending itself was also a little awkward as far as Cody was trying to go for his finisher, Crossroads, but Jake countered and tried to put him down in submission hold. But since Cody was on top, it led to a 1-2-3 pin, and he got the victory.
I mean, that's how you protect Jake.
Okay.
That's how you do that. But I like how Jake and Edge basically have the same finisher. Edge is using that too now. That triangle, that standing triangle choke.
Yeah.
I think he calls it the anti-venom or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, so it was a nice way to protect Jake. I mean, that's kind of it's not really what would happen in an MMA fight because there's no 3 counts.
Yeah.
But I get the line they were trying to toe. Because like in amateur wrestling, that's another background of Hager's. Like his shoulders go on the mat, boom, you're done. So that's basically what they were trying to get at there.
Yeah, I guess because Jake bounced up and thought he was the winner. Even though I thought that was kind of ridiculous, he's all cheering like, "Yeah, I won!" And it's like, dude, you hear Cody's music playing, you did not win. But yeah, I mean, Jake still looks strong, and then he punched out the ref, and then I think on the next day on AEW social handles, they announced that Jake Hager's been suspended. So I guess this is a way to write him off for a bit.
You see, that really worked because we haven't seen anybody put their hands on an official yet.
Yeah.
In AEW, it's a sports league, and in the NFL, if you were to assault an official, you'd be fined like $50,000 and suspended, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked how that worked. That really drew me in. I'm like, oh, okay, I like this. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it's kind of curious what's going to happen next as far as my thoughts was like the Inner Circle. As far as, okay, Sammy Guevara, he's been suspended indefinitely for his comments about Sasha Banks on an old podcast he did. And now Jake Hager written off TV as far as kayfabe goes, hitting the ref. So what's currently left is Santana and Ortiz and Chris Jericho. So do they continue as a 3-piece, or is this their way of slowly breaking up Inner Circle as well?
No, I think that's their way of kind of like putting Inner Circle on hold for a little bit with Guevara and Hager. Now with Santana and Ortiz, I mean, they teamed with Jericho in the first ever episode of Dynamite against Kenny and the Bucks. Mm-hmm. So there's a history, a true history there with those 3 gentlemen. Sammy and Hager joined them later. Yeah. So if they run around as a trio, I think that'd be okay. They can have matches with SCU, and it could be Kenny and Hangman insert Matt Hardy or something like that. Or, Kenny and Hangman insert Mike Tyson. We don't know. Yeah, so I think the 3 of those guys doing business together is going to be okay.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, is for Jericho, I mean, he loves Santana and Ortiz because keep in mind, they were the first ones to actually thank him going back to after he won the title. So he won his thank you from someone for winning the championship, and they were the first ones to thank him. So he knows he can trust them and he likes them. But yeah, so moving forward, I'm just kind of curious how what's Jake Hager going to be doing. They haven't said anything like there's no particular reason why he's been written off TV that we know of, right? I mean, there's a pandemic. It's not like he's going to go train for something else. Do we know of?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just going to sit at home with his wife.
Hey, can't complain about that. I'm sure he's a very lucky man, as we've seen. So the match itself, for Cody, he gets the win, and also kudos to him. They said he defended the title. This is his 4th title defense in the last 5 weeks, so he's very much a working champion as far as defending a championship. I'm just curious who's next for Cody, though. Who can challenge him next? I wonder, maybe after Fyter Fest is done, I wonder if he'll go back to like the Open Challenge. I would love that. But I'm kind of curious who can challenge him next. Will he bring out another surprise signee, or will it be someone on the current roster?
I think, I don't know, man. I think a couple current roster guys right now. Yeah. Because if they bring it, like if Heath Slater shows up, it's just another former WWE guy over there. Like, people are ridiculous like that. And so I think current roster guys. I think Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party, because Mark Quinn, he had an opportunity. I think they would jam well together. Okay. Scorpio Sky, because he and Cody have done work on the indie scene together. Yeah. Or Christopher Daniels, because Cody beat him to become Ring of Honor champion back in 2017. Ooh. So I think just mixing it up with a couple guys that are already on the roster. Pineapple Pete. We ever, or as Jericho would say, Pineapple Pete.
I hate that guy. Dude, Chris Jericho's turning such a national treasure as far as his commentary. Just real quick before we move on to the next match. Yeah, just thoughts on Chris Jericho, his commentary for this past Wednesday.
It's good, man. It really is. And I listened to Peter Rosenberg's pod, and he's critiqued it from like a broadcaster standpoint, and I'm like, Jericho said he's basically trying to be like Jesse Ventura, dude, or like a Bobby Heenan. They're just over the top. Like, it's entertaining. I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's great. I mean, it comes out with the Canadian themed jacket, obviously for Canada Day. That's the thing. When Jungle Boy hit the Canadian Destroyer, he says, "Super Canadian Destroyer, Happy Canada Day." It's just not missing a beat with just the reference there. Anytime there's a Canadian Destroyer, he's like, "Happy Canada Day." And I love Jim Ross saying, "Hey, nice, did you steal that jacket from Don Cherry?" So for anyone out there who doesn't know, Don Cherry is like the John Madden of Canada when it comes to hockey broadcasts. He's a longtime hockey broadcaster. So yeah, he's the equivalent of here in America, John Madden. So
I thought he stole the jacket from Drake. I didn't know. And I really love the little banter between Jericho and Tony Schiavone. I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have history, when Jericho says Schiavone, it goes back to their WCW days in the late 90s. So I love all that stuff. It's Jericho. And also I just love like his pop culture references. He's dropping random pop culture, music knowledge. He's talking about the Zoom call. He says, "Zoom, my favorite show in the 70s I watched with Morgan Freeman." And then also, I love how he'll make TV references and songs. And it's great. And yeah, he's not going to be super polished, broadcaster, TV broadcast. He's out there having fun, keeping things entertained, and being like that heel persona as far as calling out the baby faces and the stupid stuff they're doing in the ring. All that stuff. I wish, and I love just the 2-man group of him and Tony Schiavone back when they were filming stuff in Atlanta a couple months ago. I would hopefully maybe down the road. I wonder if Chris Jericho has any plans to maybe, as he maybe wants to kind of maybe retire or semi-retire, will he move over to more of the broadcasting side of things? I would love it.
I hope so, dude. Whenever you have him back on here, ask him that question. I think that'd be really great to find out. I guess while we're on the topic of Jericho on commentary, you want to talk about his little kerfuffle with Freshly Squeezed?
So, was that actually at the start of the fourth match, right? So the fourth match of the night was a Private Party with Matt Hardy coming out with them, taking on Santana Ortiz. But before that, Orange Cassidy comes walking out and sits down right next to the table, puts his feet up. And Jericho was just baffled by this. Like, what's he doing here? He's like, wait, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to save it for next week. I'm taking him on. I thought it was great because it was just poking the bear. Like, Orange Cassidy wasn't doing much, just sitting there being like his usual lazy self. But the fact that it was getting under Chris Jericho's skin, I think that was great. And it just kind of added a little more fuel to the fire for their match next week. How about you?
Oh, yeah, it really did. The pull apart where, hey, man, if all those guys didn't hold back Orange Cassidy, I don't know what was going to happen to Jericho, bruh. Serious.
Yeah, dude, I was waiting for that. Like, oh, my God. Like, if they would have let him go, man, dude, the two of them would start throwing blows right there. I thought it was great. Orange Cassidy came out with his blood shirt that he got from last week. He just kept wearing it. Awesome for that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for their match next week, how that's going to play out. It's it could go a couple ways, and it'd be interesting how that'll go. And I guess we'll kind of save that maybe for towards the end when we get into maybe some predictions for next week. But yeah, for Private Party and taking on Santana Ortiz, I was curious for you. What did you think? It looks like Private Party has got a new theme song.
It's better than their old one because
you thought so?
I've been very vocal about this. AEW themes are not good. Like, Jericho's phenomenal. Cody's is good. Exactly. I love MJF's theme, the Best Friends theme song. I like that. Hangman's works for him. The Bucks work for them. But a lot of the other ones, it's like, I'm not really hyped when I hear this. Darby's works for him. Mox is okay. Cage's is fine.
Some of them sound like just like the generic free music rock beds that you would see on YouTube or something.
It's like guitar riff instrumental free to use. That's what a lot of them sound like. I'm like, Jesus, man.
I don't know what they need to do. I mean, WWE, they've had the luxury for years, have Jimmy Johnson and also...
He just joined Instagram.
Yeah, so I saw what that, like, people were talking about that the other day. Like, is that like some...
Follow that man. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
If AEW could swoop him up, oh boy.
Dude, that'd be great. I mean, back in the day, so it was Jimmy Hart did a lot of theme music, but he did a ton. I mean, Jim Johnson, he did so many legendary entrances, but now they have like a new group that WWE hired to do all their new intros.
They got rid of those guys. The CFO $. They got rid of those guys.
Oh, really?
They did Bobby Roode's Glorious. They did Shinsuke's original theme.
Yeah.
I don't think those guys don't work there anymore. I don't think they have for like a year.
Oh man. Well, maybe AEW can go after them. So, but yeah, you're right. I would hope maybe down the road AEW can maybe invest in like someone or a band or something that can help make better theme songs. But yeah, I mean, I will admit, like, I kind of enjoyed Private Party's previous theme song. It got me hyped up.
Private Party.
Yeah, got me hyped up. But this one definitely, it's, and please excuse me for my my lack of like hip hop knowledge and whatnot. But this one definitely still very cool in its own right. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I dig it. And when they come to the ring, they weigh however much of cranberry vodka, it's not water in those cups. You feel me?
yeah. And I'm still kind of curious how this is going to play out with Matt Hardy. He's like, just kind of just inserted himself as like a manager. Like there was the initial them meeting in the bar last month on Dynamite, and it's just like he's just hanging out with them. And even was it Matt Hardy posted on Instagram an old throwback photo of him and Jeff with Michael Hayes, aka Doc Hendricks, when he was there a manager when the Hardy Boys first debuted with WWE, and then he tried recreating that photo with Private Party. So it's kind of like an odd pairing a little bit, like Matt Hardy with Private Party. Like I'm just kind of curious where's this going to lead to.
I don't know. I think it'll work though because Matt is the new 3 faces of Foley with all his incarnations. You have Team Extreme Matt. You have like Matt from like the early 90s. You have Big Money Matt, and of course you have Broken Matt. And matter of fact, so there's like 5 Matt Hardys, which is cool. I like that. I really do. So I think this is just a way for him to kind of stay out of the ring because about like a year and a half ago, like his tailbone and spine were like fusing together, and that's not pretty. Like I don't think I heard rumors he could barely even like sit down up straight. And like, yeah, so he had that limp. So I think this is just a way for him to kind of ease it and tone it back, so he doesn't take so many bumps.
Yeah, so just save it for when he does wrestle. It's
when it matters.
Yeah, when it matters, he's earned the right to like just kind of slow it down a bit, and he doesn't have to wrestle every single week. But his name and presence does have star power. So having him out there at least maybe as a manager. He could be a part of the promos and stuff. So you can still see Matt Hardy every week around Private Party. But the match itself, it
too spotty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, too spotty, but also I just felt the crowd really died down. And I don't know if the crowd was kind of maybe tired or a little bit exhausted following the Cody Rhodes match. But I could just tell like early on, like after the introductions were done and the entrances came out, like I would say about halfway through that match, it started getting just very quiet, and it sounded like no one was there. And I think when that happens, then you kind of lose a little bit of energy. And for me, it was kind of like, okay, where's this going? And so I don't know about you, but like when the crowd gets kind of quiet like that, it kind of, the match itself loses a little more just appeal to it.
No, yeah, that's true. And then you start to notice things more. That's why I said it was too spotty, because I've really started to notice that about Private Party. I mean, people talk about the Young Bucks being too spotty, but I'm not a wrestler. I'm not at all, but it looks way too choreographed.
Yeah. It's that's one thing about kind of like this current generation of wrestlers or wrestling in general, the styles. I think when there's too many high spots, then it comes off very choreographed. Like just to throw it back a little bit, like Young Bucks taking on Lucha Brothers. Amazing match, insane as far as the spots they did, but after a while you could tell that they're all just standing waiting around for the next spot to come, and they're just helping each other set up the next move.
Which match are you talking about of theirs?
Wait, was that Double or Nothing last year when they had the Elvis, when Young Bucks came out in the white Elvis jumpsuit outfits?
I'm sorry, I can't say it was too spotty. That match was dope.
No, but I'm saying, like, don't get me wrong, it's still very entertaining. They're putting their bodies on the line to entertain us. I have so much respect for that. But when you do a lot of that, like, it's one spot after another, I get a little just mentally burnt out watching that.
I think where their matches with the Lucha Bros were really too spotty was the all-out louder match, the Escalera de la Muerte. I think
maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that was way too spotty.
And you can just tell, like, the guy's acting like he's hurt, but he's, like, holding the other guy's hand, waiting for them to deliver the move, and he's just holding them up to keep their balance. And so when I see that, I'm like, it kind of takes me out of as far as the believable factor. It's like, okay, when you're choreographing one spot to the next, I can see that being planned out. It's like I can predict what's going to happen next. And so I think that's sometimes some of these wrestlers, maybe the younger guys, I hope they got to kind of, slow it down a bit. Not to throw it back to, like, Undertaker and stuff, but that's something Undertaker and some of these older veterans in recent interviews talk about. It's like you got to kind of slow it down a bit and, work on your storytelling.
Less is more, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this match itself, don't get me wrong, I love both teams involved. And I think Private Party, what they said, Isaiah Cassidy's only, 22 years old?
My God.
Think about it. Yeah, they're super young still. Their potential is insane. I cannot wait to see. They are going to be the future of that tag team division. I'm
sorry, but I feel bad for Santana and Ortiz, though. They just keep jobbing it, guys.
And that's the thing, is, like, I was really surprised that they lost here. So Private Party gets a huge victory in my books. I mean, that's a big win for them, and I think that bumps them up in probably the power rankings. But I just curious for Private Party and for both teams. I mean, the tag team division is stacked right now. I mean, with the hiring of FTR and they have a lot of tag teams. So I think, while, we always complain about WWE complaining about, like, certain guys not getting enough screen time, there's a lot of guys just sitting in the locker room, not being used on TV. I'll be curious if AEW in the near future, if they're going to have an issue of, are they doing enough, giving enough screen time to the tag team division? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I mean, maybe they'll have to do what I think it was WCW. They had, like, a junior heavyweight tag title division, or kind of like the
New Japan, right?
IWGP, but not because of size, just because there's so many tag teams there. Actually,
and here's an idea I was thinking about. Could they do a trios title of some sort? Which I was going to kind of bring up later on after the main event, which I'll say more of that thought in a bit. But yeah, the match itself, I think they try to go out there and deliver a top match, but just the crowd didn't seem really into it, the people in attendance. And so I just felt it felt kind of flat. So for me watching, I was like, all right, it's a good tag match. I was kind of surprised, like you said, Santana Ortiz didn't pick up the win. And, like, I kind of feel like they should be in maybe the title scene pretty soon, but it doesn't look like that way. It looks like some other people are ahead of them. So it just, like, seems like they're kind of floating around right now. But nonetheless, hey, great match for both of them as far as trying to keep the momentum going. Last but not least, so let's talk about the main event here, which was for the AEW Tag Championships. It was Kenny Omega, Hangman Page taking on Best Friends. And just, oh my God, the entrances alone, I was laughing. So Best Friends come out, or actually I say pull up in a white minivan, and you see Chuck Taylor and Trent come jumping out, and we see an older woman in the driver's seat, and we were told that is Trent's mom driving them, dropping them off. And I laughed so hard, and I love that because to me it was kind of like, yeah, you and your best friend growing up, you're probably being dropped off by your parents or your mom in a minivan. So I thought that was a great just playing on the fact that they are best friends. That even their moms drop them off at their wrestling matches. What'd you think about that opening segment right there?
I thought that was funny, man. I really did. I loved that, and then I love this every time it happens. The zoom out. I know they call it the Okada zoom out.
Yeah.
But every time they hug, dude, I pop for it every time. I'm like, yes.
Excalibur, give the people what they want. And then Kenny Omega, Hangman Page come out, and the match gets underway. Which, by the way, so in reference to the Cody match earlier, I was a little surprised that for the second hour for Fyter Fest that it was back-to-back tag matches. I thought maybe they could have kind of broken up a little bit and maybe switch Cody's match placement with Private Party. So maybe have Private Party be the third match and Cody be the second to last match. That way it's just like, it's not back-to-back tag matches. There's a lot of tag matches for the night between Jurassic Express, MJF, Private Party, Kenny Omega. So 3 out of the 5 matches were tag matches. So I was kind of hoping maybe they kind of break it up a little bit, but I guess maybe they figure they know Cody is probably going to be a big match feel to it. So maybe they thought let it kind of maybe main event or headline the first hour and, carry over into the second hour. That's my one little thing. If I had to do it, if I was in charge, I would switch those up. But this match itself, they come out of the gates, both teams kind of swinging. But I never felt neither team really took into second gear. Absolutely.
It didn't hit that upper echelon for me.
Yeah.
Like they usually do. What match was it last week? It was FTR and Daniels and Kazarian. That hit a next level, and I really loved that. I thought these guys were going to do it because I think Trent Beretta's super underrated, bro. Like, I once saw him wrestle at a WWE house show in Pensacola, Florida. I'm like, this dude is tearing it up. I thought that all the way back then. And, to see what he's done now, I thought this would have been his real time to shine, him and Chucky T. But it wasn't. I mean, they didn't get the job done. Hangman and Omega retained the titles. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I don't want to say either team was kind of going through the motions, because I know they're working their ass off, but not to break the fourth wall down, and I'm not going to say spoilers or anything, but I believe they film night number 2 of Fyter Fest, I think right afterwards, or they might taped it today. I'm not sure when the timeline was when they were filming night number 2, and that's kind of been their broadcasting schedule. They've been usually filming 2 episodes at a time, and so they work 1 week, have 1 week off, work 1 week, 1 week off, and as they announced before the match that Private Party, since they won, were going to face the winner of the main event for the AEW Tag Championship on night number 2 of Fyter Fest. So, they had the match, and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page win, defeat Best Friends. So now next week on night number 2 of Fyter Fest, it's going to be Private Party versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. So maybe Hangman Page, Kenny Omega kind of held it back a little bit, knowing that they were going to have to wrestle again that night for the tape, for the pre-recording for next week's show. But yeah, I just felt like the match, while it was had its moment, it never really took off. Like, oh my God, like this is, I'm blown away at what these 4 guys are doing in the ring together. It just never felt like they got into, like I said, that second gear.
Yeah, it didn't, man, and it's kind of a shame because all 4 gentlemen in that ring are extremely talented, and especially Kenny. I mean, he's from Canada. But yeah, maybe to your credit, what you said is actually true, and they kind of just did hold it back because they knew they had to kind of turn it up in the next round of tapings. But yeah, man. So after that, you have what is it, FTR? They were sitting by the broadcast table, and they come out with their beers, and Hangman's gonna chug one down, and Kenny's straight edge, so he pours it out, and Brandon on the Bullycast, he said that's kind of, I don't know why that would be a sign of Kenny being a heel, which I don't know why that would be a sign of it either. Straight edge lifestyle,
yeah,
do your thing or whatever. But then you have the Bucks and the Lucha Bros and all this other stuff happening, man.
Yeah, so after they get the victory, FTR comes in to celebrate, and Hangman immediately starts chugging his beer, and then Kenny looking at it, and he pours out, and FTR gets mad, and they're like, hey, like, why are you disrespecting us? And then the Young Bucks come running out and trying to break it up. Like, listen, he doesn't drink. And I thought that was very symbolic at the end as they kind of break up a little bit. You see Young Bucks and Kenny Omega on one side of the ring, and then FTR and Hangman on the other side. And, the three of them, 3-on-3, looking at each other. So I'm kind of wondering, is that foreshadowing future events to come? I mean, Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, let's be honest, they were the original three of the Elite. So the three of them together are the Elite. And we see this beef, this ongoing tension, you could say, between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, or Hangman Page with just the other members of the Elite. So I'm kind of curious, is this going to be foreshadowing future events down the road? And come on, let's be honest, we know eventually Hangman Page, Kenny Omega are eventually going to break up, and it's going to lead into some sort of match between the two of them at some sort.
Save it for a crowd. He has his barbershop window moment.
Yes. And that's the thing. I think if I had to guess, the guys, all the EVPs, Cody, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, I'm sure they want Hangman Page to be a future world champion for the company. I mean, he was kind of almost on the cusp of it last year when he was in the main event against Chris Jericho for the title. And so I'm sure they see big things for him, and they want to do big things for Hangman Page down the road. So I'm wondering if this is the beginning of it.
Well, you see, the thing about that whole thing in their press conference in Jacksonville last January 2019, he talked about being the champion, and then he gets to All Out in August of that year, and he didn't really have character to him. I mean, he was an athletic guy that could wrestle, that was in the Bullet Club and the Elite. That was really it.
Yeah.
Now, we come almost a year later. He's had a full character and story arc where he has a dissension with his buds. We traveled Japan and the rest of the world with, and he has a drinking problem.
Yeah.
So now and I didn't think becoming an alcoholic would make you a super babyface, but whatever, dude.
Yeah.
No, so now there's this true character, and I love Hangman Page. I think he's a star, and I do see him holding the AEW championship, and when he gets his hands on it, I think he's going to hold it for a very, very, very long time.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to be curious what's next for them. It's building to something right now. And that's why I also brought up earlier about maybe they introduce a trios title of some sort. Is you see, like, I think Ring of Honor has one. I know Lucha Underground has one, or had one, excuse me. AAA has one down in Mexico. I think, does New Japan, did they have one? Or I can't remember, but
I feel like they do.
But
I think it's like the never open weight 6-man tag or something.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, other promotions do that. And so maybe as a way to kind of keep some of because they have so many tag teams now, as a way of like keeping some of these tag teams occupied, if they're not in the title hunt for the tag team belts, they can introduce a trios title, and maybe, the Elite can kind of be the ones to spearhead that as far as a 3-man team. And you see, like, the Lucha Brothers and Pac, they kind of got an alliance right now. Was it the Death Triangle? So, I mean, they are, maybe the potential of them doing a trios title down the road can be something to get into. I know they just debuted the TNT Championship, so maybe they want to hold off debuting another championship, but just food for thought for something down the road for them.
I mean, another thing, you don't want to be WWE and have like 18 championships, The trios title is very interesting. They could hold off on it, but I think 4 right now is a nice soft spot for any promotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's okay for right now. But TK, he's the man in charge. If he wants to add another one, he can.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I'm glad, like, Impact Wrestling for a while, they were getting a lot of championships as well, but now they're back down to 4 as far as the world title, the X Division, and the tag belts, and also the women's championship as well. So, they have 4 championships there. So I think 4 is always a good number for a promotion as far as your main world championship, then like a mid-card championship, and then the tag titles, and then the women's championship. But but down the road, I'd be interested, since they invest so much in the tag team division, and they have so many on their roster now. Like I said, maybe down the road is a way to kind of keep some of them occupied. is a trios championship. That's just something I've thought of for down the road.
Sorry, let me unmute myself. Or I think 5 might be a soft spot if they want to add a weight division title like a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight championship, or the X division title. Kind of give guys like Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt and guys
Allin.
like that. Darby Allin, absolutely give guys like that something to do.
Yeah. I mean, like some of these titles, I'm with you. I think if you introduce too many, it just waters down the significance of these championships as far as you're the top person of whatever division that you represent. But yeah, if you introduce too many, that could be a bad thing. But then sometimes if you have a big enough roster, if you have a few more championships, it just kind of gives people things to go for and fight for, as far as storyline goes. But, for the match itself, like I said, it was good. And then, as far as the ending, I just kind of wonder what's going to foreshadow down the road. Like, I think that ending really symbolically is gonna, I think, maybe the beginning of future storylines for them. Either the Young Bucks, as far as maybe them taking on FTR at some point, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page have their falling out. Just that ending itself, I enjoyed that as far as it could lead to a lot of things, and it's planting the seeds right there.
I have an idea. Me booking the damn territory.
Yeah.
FTR versus Omega and Hangman for the tag titles. They've had a grueling match. He's going for the buckshot lariat. One of the FTR dudes moves out of the way. He hits Kenny. Hangman gets tossed out. The former Revival win the titles, and then there we get that true dissension.
Yeah.
And then that's where Hangman could be walking through the hall after, let's say, beating up Kenny, and they're with their titles, and they hand him a beer, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's the other thing, too, and I know we're running long here, but I just want to say real quick, I know Cody was teasing like the number 4, and it's like, oh, is he trying to plant the seeds for a 4 Horsemen, his own version? And then what was it, a couple weeks ago, FTR had a match, and then one of them throw up the 4 sign. So like people are just speculating, like if Cody did his own version of the 4 Horsemen, he'll be a member. He gets FTR, who represent like Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and then who will be the 4th person to be? Could it be Hangman Page? Could it be? I know some people are thinking maybe Shawn Spears, because Shawn Spears, if Cody did his own 4 Horsemen, he has Arn Anderson in his corner. If he brought Shawn Spears in, you have Tully Blanchard. So you got 2 members of the 4 Horsemen, the original Horsemen, with this new incarnation. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
That would be dope. You know, Cody could be Nate because of the blonde hair, obviously.
Yeah.
Arn is JJ Dillon. FTR, they're Arn and Tully, and then who's going to be your Wyndham?
Yeah. Could it be Shawn Spears? Could it be Hangman Page? But I think Hangman, like I said, I still think big things are coming his way as a singles competitor. So I don't know if he needs another faction. Like he jumps from the Elite to another faction or another stable. I don't think he needs that right now. But
maybe he leads his own. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, no, overall, like I said, it was still an entertaining night 1 of Fyter Fest. But like I said, I felt the second hour was a little bit slower. And so night number 2 is going to be coming next Wednesday, July 8th. And also, yeah, keep in mind, they also did announce they're going to do Fight for the Fallen on July 15th. And it was announced that the Moxley-Brian Cage match for the AEW Championship that was supposed to be on night 2 actually is being pushed back 1 week. And this is something we talked about last weekend. It was announced that Renee Young, Jon Moxley's wife, has COVID-19. And while Jon Moxley currently tested negative, he doesn't have the coronavirus. As a precaution, they're keeping him off TV for a couple weeks so he can quarantine, I'm guessing, and whatnot. So with that being said, yeah, his match got pushed back another week.
I got one thing to say to Mox. When it comes to Brian Cage, beat him if you can. Survive if he lets you.
That's right. So, so the Fight for the Fallen is going to be on July 15th. And while last year they raised funds for one of their charities, it's escaping me right now what it was for.
It was like gun violence or something.
Yeah. They said this time around, I think it's going to be for COVID-19, like help for COVID-19 programs to help obviously stop the virus from spreading. And I think the Khan family already donated $1 million for that. So it's kind of cool. So for the next 3 weeks, this week, next week, and the following week, we're getting like these 3 different theme episodes of Dynamite. So yeah, the Moxley Brian Cage match has been pushed back a week. But like I said, it's obvious that night number 2 was being filmed this week, because if it was next week, I think Moxley could have made it if it was live next week. But since it was happening this week, he's still at home, I guess, under quarantine, so he couldn't make it. So that their match has been pushed back a week. So next week, they're actually going to have 6 matches listed. I'll quickly run down the list and just give me maybe a quick prediction who you think might win. So it says here listed Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. Who you got in that one?
Chris Jericho's going to peel Orange Cassidy into story.
Absolutely. Next up, Lance Archer with Jake Roberts in his corner take on Joey Janela.
Lance Archer's going to beat Joey Janela.
Yeah, absolutely. Lance Archer needs to pick up a big win after his defeat to Cody about a month and a half ago. It says Nyla Rose here versus TBA, so it's yet to be determined who she's going to take on. So maybe it's kind of like an open challenge of some sorts. I'm not sure. Colt Cabana and the Dark Order, so it's going to be Brody Lee and Stu Grayson taking on SCU.
I got the Dark Order. Even though I'm not a fan, I got the Dark Order.
Yeah, I think he's just going to add to the storyline of Colt Cabana kind of teasing the fact that he might actually join the Dark Order officially. So them getting a big victory here. FTR and the Young Bucks taking on the Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade.
FTR and the Bucks.
Yeah. I think they're going to get the win. But it's gonna. They need to win here. That way, if we predict that it leads to a match of some sort, maybe an all out, this is the beginning of that. And then last but not least, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defending the AEW Tag Championships against Private Party.
I got Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page.
Absolutely. So, and night number 2 is stacked. So they got 6 matches listed here. A lot of great stuff happening, and I'm looking forward to it. At AEW, it's going to be a fun show, and obviously they know a lot's going on with NXT, so they want to go out there and deliver a top-notch, entertaining show for us. So and we'll I'm sure you and I will do a review next week for night number 2. Looking forward to that. All right, Philip, let's go home right now. And let's see, where can people find you online?
Well, if you want to follow me personally, it's Heel Antwine, ANTWINE. That's Twitter and Instagram. Don't look me up on Facebook. That's just weird. Yeah. Follow Bulletcast at Bulletcast on Twitter, The Bulletcast on Instagram and YouTube. Bulletcast on Facebook, even though we're not popping. Complex Conversations, COMPLEXX Conversations. Just uploaded a video interview with my good buddy Jonathan Sturholm from high school. We discussed our journeys in the coaching high school sports, so that was really fun. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it, man. Thank you for having me again on the ITK, the King of the BC on the ITK. Love it.
Dude, I love the ITK. I might have to go to an abbreviated version moving forward in this post Jimbo era of the In The Kliq show.
It helps, dude. Trust me, it helps.
I love that. I'm Baby Huey. You can follow me on my personal handles at Baby Huey Official on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at BabyHuey83. For everything In The Kliq related, just go to In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Look us up there. Also, subscribe to our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, also on YouTube. Subscribe to In The Kliq on YouTube, posting the individual segments from all of our episodes up there. Even the stuff last week, Philip was on there and we talked about a lot of great stuff. So I posted those up on YouTube. So yeah, anything In The Kliq, and look forward to new episodes with you guys. I appreciate Philip, you hanging out with me, and everyone else who's been helping out with the show, keeping the show moving along and all these future episodes. And if you have any questions, hit me up anytime, intthekliq@gmail.com. I love getting the fan emails from people. Even Philip's emailed us before. I read that.
Yes, absolutely.
I read that. Yes, I got that one. That's great. So for everything at In The Kliq. And on that note, that's the bottom line, because Baby Huey said so.